Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the DeBethune DB10 Re-Edition. Now, the original DB10 came out in 2003. It was made in 38 pieces spread across white gold and rose gold. For 2011, DeBethune reissued the watch with the addition of a new manufacture movement, which the original did not have, as well as a radial date indicator. So 20 pieces were made in white gold, which you see here, and 20 pieces were made in rose gold. So historically, very few DB10s or DB10 Re-Editions exist. This watch is a lovely and wearable timepiece that will be broadly appealing to those who are previously familiar with Moser, F.P. Journe, Kari Voutilainen, perhaps Moritz Grossman, or Holy Trinity luxury watch brands. DeBethune has a reputation for being avant-garde, but the DB10 Re-Edition, like the original DB10, is beautifully traditional. Now you can see in what's known as gray gold within the industry. That's a straight-through 18-karat white gold alloy that never needs to be rhodium plated. 42 millimeters in diameter. It's a compact 10.4 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 45.6 millimeters with a nice broad and modern 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. So this 2011 20-piece DB10 Re-Edition is a large watch by dress standards, but being under 46 millimeters from lug to lug, it's super short across the wrist. Broad, super flat, easily sliding underneath the cuff. I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and even from over the top, which always exaggerates the span and breadth of the watch across the wrist, you could still see the lugs are well inboard of the edges of my 16 centimeter wrist, and you could see that even better in the down the barrel shot. The watch has a high-grade DeBethune factory strap. You can see large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss, deep dark blue with a monotone stitch, a sheer cut edge, and this being a DeBethune factory strap, you have small round scale alligator on the bottom. Note, no crimping, no gouging, a brand new factory strap. The idea behind putting gator on both sides is that you wind up with a more expensive but longer wearing, higher quality strap, and a few $100 extra is nothing in the context of a watch like this. It deserves the best. You can also see that these are large, symmetrically rectangular scales, indicating the most expensive cut of the alligator hide. DeBethune watches usually feature buckles designed to match the style of the model, and this is the style you'll typically see on the DB1 style case, as well as the later more traditional round case solid dial DB25s. So this matches what you're seeing over case side. Now the original DB1 lent its design to the first, I would say, 1 through 19 DeBethune references. Not all of them featured this shape because some of them weren't even wristwatches, but this was the original DeBethune case shape as brought about by David Zanetta and Denis Flageolet, the co-founders of the brand in 2002. The original DB1 was a chronograph, but the DB10 was a timepiece that had central seconds, hours, and minutes. It was very simple. It borrowed that classical shape with the ogival or torpedo tip lugs. The lugs are integrated into the case band here, and the DB10 is very traditional with a relatively thin case, all of high polish. The overlapping lip of the case back and the bezel defines the mid-case. There's sort of a soft crease between the edge of the lug and the edge of the case. It's not quite as integrated as on something like a Calatrava or a Portugieser. We have this vintage-inspired unsigned crown, that's why it's unsigned, with a double knurling on it, and then rolling around to the dial, we have real rose-lathe guilloche in two different forms. The center dial, as well as the hour track, features a billowing rosette that radiates out from the middle, and then écailles de poisson, or fish scales, that run all the way around the circumference. Now you can see that the printing is all in dark blue, which is a nice match for the fired hands at center, and then we have a rose gold indicator for the radial date. Let me just make sure we're not in the date change danger zone here. It does feature a quick set, and I'll demonstrate that now. The quick set system allows you to rapidly cycle. The only feature the watch doesn't have is hacking seconds. So we've got this beautiful traditional hand guilloche dial, a lovely case, distinctive of the earliest DeBethune references, and on the back a very modern caliber. You can see it properly fits the case, so DeBethune really stepping into its role as a manufacturer of the entire watch. You can see the maker's mark on the case is DeBethune, and so is the dial crafted in-house at DeBethune. So dial, case, and movement all made in-house in order to control quality and permit really small production runs, like in this case, 20 pieces. Now, I'm not going to give away the serial number, but I will just opine that the first and last in a series are always great serial numbers to have. Taking a look, we have twin self-adjusting mainspring barrels, 6 days of power reserve. We have a automatic winding system. We have a lovely combination of a snail cam for micrometric regulation, as well as the convenience of Edicron for fine rate adjustment, as well as beat error correction. This movement beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's protected down to 30 meters. That's the water resistance rating, so dress watch water resistance rating. And you can see that it features a couple of different techno-industrial finishes, subtle shifts in shade and subtle shifts in surfacing. As you can see, we have media blasting on many surfaces, as well as the recesses of the barrel bridge. We have satination on the raised and relieved portions. If you look at the screw heads, you can see all of them have been black polished. If you look at the edge of the balance bridge, you can see, for example, that there's a nice mirrored anglage on the edge of that structure. You can see that under my thumb. So handsomely mirrored and rounded. The adjustment system, which includes a tension spring, the snail cam, and then the regulator assembly itself. You can see how all of that has been black polished. There's a lovely snailing across the bridge, and with a dual anchored balance bridge that is braced on both sides, the watch gains a little bit of an extra measure of shock resistance. And thanks to the two barrels in series, the watch has a very even torque release to the escapement. So when fully wound, it doesn't gallop with too much time gained, and when largely discharged with only 48 or 24 hours left, it's still going to run pretty solid amplitude because the twin barrels in series have two phased mainsprings to keep the torque curve as flat as possible from maximum wind to minimum wind, and then just 32 pivot joules is the last technical detail that's worth mentioning. And you can see the idea here really is to give it a cool, modernist, industrial vibe, almost like an Apple store. Ironic because this is the antithesis of an Apple Watch. But beautifully made, handcrafted inside and out, and rare as all DeBethune watches are. This is the DB10 Re-Edition. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.